Hey, how's it going? So I'm going to read you some cards. Hold on, I'm doing something out of sight. Just putting on a bracelet, nothing weird. And then I want to adjust this. Okay, and also this. I have some music on. It's kind of distracting, but anyway. Please look at my signs. Ooh, I hate to move it. Ooh, and I'm plugged in. Okay, let me unplug it. Let go. There they are. Wow, pretty clear. The camera. Anyway, so, oh boy. I have a lot of stuff up here that it doesn't probably all need to be there. You can also go away. Here they are. So I have some cards and I pulled them yesterday and I'm kind of chuckling because when I pulled them I looked at them and I was like, okay, cool. So the first card I pulled, which means I'm not sure what I'm looking at here. Oh, that's better. That's so much better. You know, it doesn't need to be that close. Something about poor reading. Okay. So the first card I pulled is from the Shaman Stream Oracle deck. And it is the, just go there for now, Wailing Tree. And the subtitle is Reconciliations. So, oh shoot. Darn, I don't have my things ready. My little, there it is. I need my indicator. So yeah, like to me, this whole thing just looks like a fire, right? And I'm sure that's what it's supposed to look like. And the immediate thing I thought when I first saw it, like ever, was hair on fire. But it's like everybody. It's like the whole family tree. The hair is on fire. But you know, also like the background and everything. But if you'll notice, the trunk is not on fire. It looks just bad, you know, like if you saw a tree with the top of it on fire, I know I'd be alarmed because, I mean, fires have a conclusion eventually, but like in between, there's a lot of stuff that just gets eaten up along the way. So, you don't always know if it's gonna be, it'll stay good for the trunk, you know? I'm a little taken aback because, of course, I'm seeing stuff on here I've never seen before. There's faces, and there's a, well, I'll show you. There's like a human face, and then there's like a profile of a face, but it looks like an animal to me. Like, maybe a lion, or maybe, I don't know. The snout's pretty short, so I hesitate to say some kind of, canine. And I'm going to show you eventually. I'm going to hold up the card, but I'm just checking it out. So it also looks like, if you've ever been to like a hunting or fishing camp type place, and like the catch of fish, for example, might be hung up on the thing that you like keep them in the water with. It's like a metal chain thing, and you know, you hook your catch on there and then you keep it in the water till you're ready to leave, and then whatever, like you could come back to your camp and then like hang it up. And then likewise for like if you hunted any type of animal, you would be able to hang it up for, you do it for a number of reasons, to like prepare it and just have it up off the ground. And I don't want to go into all of that, but there's along the trunk, it made me think of rabbits from a hunting camp. You let like game cure to some degree. I mean, you can straight eat it, but I think it's super gamey, or like, I don't know. I'll just stick with gamey, but I would think, unless you're like really hungry, it might be kind of like too much for a palate formed by processed food. Might be a little too real. But like I said, depends on how hungry you are. So yeah, if you want to see the faces, there's one like directly head on there, and that does not look like a happy person. It looks like they are literally bemoaning the situation, like whatever's got everything aflame. And then there's the sort of, is that the right side? I think it's right. Where is it? Why can't I see? Well, that's got to be it. The other side's bare. So yeah, like right in there. See what I was saying? It kind of looks like a lion kind of sticking its face out. But I mean, if it just occurred to me, if it were a canine, it looks more like a wolf man than anything. A werewolf, wolf man. Like, if you've ever seen any of those Teen Wolf movies, I'm laughing because I'm just hearing Michael Landon. And it kind of looks like him when he had the werewolf makeup on, or Wolfman or whatever. I don't know, I'm just cracking myself up. But, you know, like, what does that suggest about the people that are represented in my imagining here? Dude, I have no idea what the, like, strung up rabbits mean. Now they kind of look like stuffed animals, which is just, now it's just weird. Oh, now it's just getting strange. Oh, now it's getting strange. Okay, well, anyway. It's like, kind of like a vision of like what you may need to know what to be able to do if like everything burns down somehow. But like I said, the trunk is untouched. The ground does not appear to be touched. It isn't, oh, I don't know, the background's kind of iffy, but that just suggests to me that, like, there's a good chance that, you know, things are probably going to be all right. There's a big opening in the front of this trunk as well, a big hole. So that's really not great if the fire catches up to it. Or comes down from the top. But, you know, maybe it's metaphorical fire. Like hair on fire. So the family tree, I don't know, like, maybe some of the family are living rough and they gotta trap rabbits to eat. What does that have to do with anything? Well, I mean, a lot of the stuff that is kind of driving politics is opinion driven, and it's kind of strange because the opinions that are out there kind of come from like the top in a way, like they hear it from somewhere else first before they start espousing it. As in they didn't like it's not of their own making, these ideas. Which I always find alarming, because I'm always suspicious of anybody trying to tell me stuff. Like, what do you want? Why are you telling me that? What are you going to get out of it? You know, like, I don't know. Maybe it's just experience that makes me think that way, but it may be like jumpy and rabbity. But caution is not a bad thing, I don't think. I'm just alarmed because I guess that's just how I'm supposed to feel. You know, we all get to do that, feel how we're going to feel. In fact, we should, but, you know, there's also a matter of containment to think about. You live and learn. It's like when you're a child, you spaz out and make a bunch of noise, and none of like the consequences of your actions really occur to you until much later. And then, like, even as a child, you don't understand it the same way you would 10 years later or 20 years later. Like, why whatever you did was so offensive that you got in trouble for it. Like, maybe like memorable major trouble, you know, like whatever that represents for the kid. Nothing, you know, abusive or painful, but just something really minimal to me would be a big deal to a child, kind of thing is what I'm saying. And I don't know why I was saying that. Where did I go? Oh, I have felt myself to be getting kind of feral, like socially. Like, I've used that combination of words to kind of describe how I felt sometimes when interacting with other people, because I spend so much time on my own. And I feel like I see other people exhibiting that kind of wounded animal behavior out in the world, which I try to keep it at home, out of sight. Because I'm like, I know that's me going through stuff, but I don't always know that I'm doing it in the moment. Like, it kind of catches up later sometimes. Like, even as an adult, that may be just like a way I personally learned stuff. I don't know if that's true of everyone else, but I was thinking earlier of how we'll learn something new and then we'll kind of like still be so used to the old idea that we've always had, like the way that it was always done. That's the way you think about it. So it's hard to, especially if you're older and you come to that point and you want to change your mind, you will, like, you know, you'll go there and you'll agree, and then you'll get on your own, and then like the old way of thinking will start creeping back in, and it's like so comfortable, like you don't even know you're doing it unless you're thinking about it. And then maybe the person, this person I'm imagining, can't think of the word I want to use. Oh, shoot, come on now. I went down a rabbit hole of my own making. Well, oh, shoot. Well, I don't know. I was just trying to say that when I was talking about myself becoming socially feral, and my mind just goes to animalistic and wounded animal, because it's not like a friendly animal, you know, or maybe a previously wounded animal is more accurate, but it makes me tentative, suspicious, like, and that's all been there like a long time. But when you just have it inside for so long, I think it just grows with you or something if you don't deal with it. Or it just has the propensity to grow wild if you're not on top of it. So it's not really how an animal acts, but you know, that's just a perception. But it's a kind of a, you know, I'm gonna reach out and like do something not provocative but aggressive, you know, like make myself big and scare you off kind of thing, when it's not really appropriate when you're talking to someone, like out of practice. But I'm talking about, yeah, like people that are just like out in the world and that's happening. And I guess I was speculating on the being on top of it or not when I got lost back there, although I'm just not sure anymore. But the subtitle of this card is reconciliation. I'm definitely thinking family tree, like in terms of the United States. It doesn't even have to be politics. There's people out there that don't even participate or really know much about politics, that have a side that they take that, you know, whether you engage in it or not, politics is a part of our lives. It's ingrained in our lives, but it's trying to change its nature right now. I'll get to that later, but, or maybe some other time. But it says reconciliations, so it's plural, but it goes back to, that's why I said I thought the trunk indicated that, like, you know, there was hope that everything wasn't going to burn up completely. You know, reconciliations means like a series of them, which makes sense because if we got like a social conflagration going on, we may have to like meet in baby steps, like meet a little bit at first and get a few things hammered out, like, or it could take a while, is what I'm saying. But it, you know, also there would be many levels of things to reconcile between people. I'm not even going to try to go into it, but it's all like social stuff that you'll see people out in the world talking about, and stuff that's going on like right now. So I had pulled these yesterday, all of these, and I fell asleep as usual, but I knew that I wasn't ready to read them. Like, I knew there was something more to be learned before going ahead. And then when I woke up this morning, I like got a bunch of videos that were like on the subject that I am hopefully eventually getting to. But it's just change, more or less. And there's two areas of change that are happening. And I guess this is more about me, but a lot of other people have it on their minds too. And that is, I just am not sure what to do with like the religious stuff that I have learned, like as a child in the Catholic school when I was like, oh, it was a long time ago, but it left an impression. Still talking about it. Still relevant. And then all of the people that are like, this is my life. I live around it, and there's a lot of people that say that, and some people that say it, I can go, wow, they really do, you know, live by those type of principles. And others that say it, and I'm just like, what? Nuh-uh. In my opinion. And they talk about it, some of them, so much, especially the ones where you're all nuh-uh, where it becomes the subject of like water cooler talk, you know, like it's just out there and people are talking about it, small talking. And it's like, it's like a biblical thing. It's in the Bible, like prophecies and all the other stuff where it has to do with like your behavior ending you up in like biblical trouble, floods and fires and things like that, and misrepresenting particularly like God and Jesus, and placing yourself in a position where you're a false prophet. And that gets mixed up in this other thing that's happening, that's breaking into like mainstream media, where normally it probably wouldn't, because it's sort of like a black thing. I was gonna say like a black Twitter thing, which there's no like tab on Twitter for black Twitter, but it has neighborhoods, or sorry, X Twitter I call it. Former, it's shorter than formerly Twitter, you know. Anyway, but there's neighborhoods on there, you know, like I'm in the music, plant, art, animal Twitter, with some like haunted and UFO stuff, and some keeping an eye on space stuff like NASA and other space agency, and you know, non-space agency UFO stuff, you know, just whatever. Anyway, why am I talking about that? Oh, but yeah, Twitter has the neighborhoods. So, no, don't pause the video. God, what a pain. So, the thing that came out about Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, or P. Diddy, whatever the fuck. And it's awful. It sounds terrible, all of it. And there also happens to be a man of God, so-called, in there. So it's like, all of the things you're not supposed to heed or listen to, they're lying to you. Like, all of the things that you're warned, especially in the parts that are talking about the end times. So, and then people are noticing that biblical predictions are coming true. Like, I saw something on YouTube that said there were almost like 600 of them that have come true to date. But it did stipulate that they started coming true like over like maybe hundreds of thousands of years period, because the Bible's old. So there's people that are like, all people noticing all these different things. And the thing that's got me about the Diddy thing is, it is terrible in any of those situations where they're overpowering people in all of the terrible ways that this story has them doing it. I'm against it. I just want to be clear about that. If people consent to do any of those things, that's different. That's different, and I don't care to know anything about it more than it exists. Great, good for you. Just don't be doing the bad part that I said. But there's a lot of people, and I think it comes from like a sort of Bible thinking or holy book thinking state of mind. And I don't know why this is, but there are prohibitions that appear to be against homosexuality. I was listening to some biblical scholars the other day, and they were saying that thing in Leviticus where it says about men lie with another man, it's terrible. They said that it was misinterpreted because it's like through, I think, a couple of ancient languages before it gets to an English translation. And then you have to think about like the zeitgeist of the time period that the words came from, and then like each like later interpretation slash language. So it just telephone game. But anyway, what these two people, you know, like doctor, professor, religious scholar guys were talking about this, and they kind of both agreed that what it seemed to indicate after that kind of analysis, you know, like clearing out certain, you know, taking into account like all of the different steps that it came through in translation, was that it probably meant the stuff that is happening at those terrible parties, like those F-off and white parties that were happening at this guy Diddy's locations. And what I just said, like, you know, like violently intruding into people's personal space and against their consent, and I guess in some cases people not even old enough to consent. So yeah, yuck, fucking terrible. So you know, another thing that it says in the Bible is that watch out for these kind of things. Like the TV man of God that was all chummy with that guy apparently is one of your, like, ticks all the boxes for false prophet, and he's not the only one. So like there's like installations of this cockadoodie everywhere. That's another thing to be looking out for. Looking out for the guy that's almost calling himself God or Jesus. But the thing is, I just don't know if it's happening right now, because right now I feel like it's a time where there's more people talking about it, and we are able to know about it more because of the internet, you know, like even more so than the advent of television spreading the words of various subjects. In the context of what I'm saying, the internet is like crucial for like everybody to know what everybody else is saying, and that's, I don't know, it's just very interesting the way things are unfurling, sort of. So people have, like, even if like they didn't know about all of this stuff, they have a view of homosexuality that it's all like that, like, or I don't know actually what they have in their mind specifically. I'm totally speculating. I know they don't like it. They say they don't like it. I feel like they're afraid of it, like afraid it's going to happen to them, or afraid something's going to happen to them that's going to make them say, oh, I think I'll be gay now. And I don't think it works like that. Well, here, I was trying to think of an example, like if I was going to talk to like someone that was like, oh, this was the thing, is like the gay is a choice thing. Because like, you don't go to those parties and decide, like, well, you don't really get to decide what you're gonna do, it sounds like, but it's not like you get there and you're like, okay, am I gonna stay and be gay, or am I gonna leave and be myself? And I was trying to think of how I would say to a person, it's not a choice, like how to get it across to them. And I was like, well, you can't like wake up one day and say, I don't think I want to be black anymore, and then someone could say, oh well, vitiligo, or you know, you get a nose job, or blah 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 blah. That's not the same, and I would hope the person I would be talking to would understand that. Like, that's such a cop-out. And if you want to go the route of calling somebody an Oreo, which I think is just minimalist, but also is the idea that someone is just like making a choice to do that. For one thing, it sounds like in a lot of cases the horrible thing to live your life as. It's not accepted. People think you're the devil, you know. I don't have to explain it. But, oh, maybe bad example. So, like, you couldn't wake up one day and say, I want to be a tree. I choose to be a tree, and then you're a tree. Like, you can't, like, turn yourself from straight, or, like, I'm not straight. Like, could you, do you think you could wake up someday, like, if you decided that, you know, or if it was some person or way you wanted to be, do you think you could wake up one day and go, I am that, I have achieved, like, do it. Please demonstrate to me, because I would like to try that myself on a few things. Like, it's just hard. People just cannot understand that, like, you know, I woke up with 4 arms and legs, but I choose to have none of those. You could go cut them off, but I'm talking about something different. This is like how you are born. Like, you can't just be, oh, I'm switching. Not without a lot of, like, mechanics. But, you know, we're not really here to do that to each other. We're actually here to be all of the ways that we are and react to them. And I know I am, like, complaining about the way someone's reacting. I know it sounds like that, and I guess it kind of is a complaint. Because I want you to change it, not be that way. See, even I'm doing it. Everybody, it has to be how they are, which is the other point I was trying to make. But, and even the ugliness, the ugly parts that I was discussing, those are a part of, like, the everything that has to happen. So, that's going to be a hell of a transition for a lot of people's minds to make. And that's the kind of change we actually are capable of all on our own, with no, like, surgery or additional additives. So I had pulled these 2 cards that were stuck together from the Angel Numbers deck. And they are 111. Intuition, and 1144, high vibes. Pardon me. So, I will read from the 111 card. Moderation. Oh, well. I feel like when we're talking about moderation, we're talking about, like, moderating our feelings, because, wow, that's, all of it's kind of a lot. And it's not just this particular individual and his, like, known associates. Apparently there are people from all other sort of, not everyone's an entertainer. Some were politicians, I guess models, you know, prominent people, you know. And like I said, there's spots all over the place where that type of activity is happening. Like nasty Starbucks. And it sounds like a lot of the stuff that went down, people, like I said, without their consent. But even, I guess, being there, it would be bad enough. Like, being proven to have been in attendance at all would look really bad. And evidently he had the cameras everywhere, like Jeffrey Epstein, and probably, and like, I forgot to talk about this one the other day, the Playboy Mansion. Like, I don't know if they had underage there, but I would not be surprised at all, because that was a place where people could go and fly their freak flags and do things to people with the freak flag, and just, it's not my deal, right? But I watched one season of that Secrets of the Playboy Mansion, and I was like, okay, I get it. When I saw there was a second season, I was like, there's more to say? I didn't need to see more. I get it. Evidently, it's a different association or organization today. I probably should look at it, just because you can't run away from everything. I mean, like I said, everything is here to be part of everything else at home. Something for a reason. You're here for a reason. It happened for a reason. It's a thing. So, moderation. How to react to all of that. Like, it's a lot to take in, and like maybe rather than being overwhelmed, we could take it and other information like it that is just shocking, and they're not even trying to hide it anymore. Now they're just blatant with it, which they're just ringing up that biblical end days stuff. Like, it's just out and proud now. I shouldn't use that. Well, maybe that was a bad choice of words, but I apologize for that. They ain't hiding it. So, I mean, always you have that shut off option, that scroll it, hit the X, whatever you, shut it off, whatever you need to do. And there is certainly something to just avoiding it altogether. But I'm not afraid of it. I'm not afraid of badness like that. Like, I'm not afraid of looking at evil like it's going to get on me and infect me. It's not. It's not gonna. It doesn't get to. And it isn't in the, way of, it's also meant to happen like everything else. It's part of it. Everything is connected. We are all one. That whole thing. So yeah, you can moderate your intake. Patience. Well, it seems like that is on a lot of these cards. But I was talking earlier about having to go back and keep redoing and redoing and redoing. When you're in that state, it requires some patience. And then also, patience for the other people, because what I am not hearing considered very much at all in that P. Diddy situation, like everyone involved, is what they are all going through right now, that we all get to see and experience, who are like paying attention to it. And that's going to make changes in all of us. Like, we're all going to, like, for one thing, are these people now like completely different from who you thought they were? Like some of you may have like totally expected something like this because the world of music, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And I guess it was like a fun slogan back in the 70s, but now you're kind of looking at it in a different light, like change. Like, you've seen some behind the music and stuff like that. And now you're seeing like even further behind the music, I guess. So, yeah. You might be changing your mind on some stuff. Seeing things from a different angle. But that in mind too, like, thank you for your service, because boy, people are not through going through it, and it's pain and it's hurt from people directly connected and people out on the immediate outside of it that just have a history, like, of acquaintance, not that they were like a part of the debauchery. So, and plus, like, seriously, like they say in the South, God bless them. But really, I mean, they're going through it too. And also, it occurred to me today that hurt people hurt peoples, and it's pretty well known that abusers tend to have been abused themselves. So, maybe we should have a little more patience with what is happening to all of those people. Yes, crimes were committed, but hurt people hurt people. Flow. Well, I mean, that's like a total tarot card hangman type situation, like seeing things. Wait, why am I saying that? Okay, I'll just go with it, I guess. Not being, like, you see things from a different angle, maybe, like, no longer deterred so much by a shock or a prevailing way of thinking about something. Like, you just kind of go with the flow and, you know, try to just unobtrusively make your way through it. Like, don't get hung up on stuff, just like passing by, just passing through. Clarity. I don't know, for me, like, seeing outward clearly in the moment, I don't even know if I do that anymore, because it seems like I see an act and I'm there in the moment, like, you know, doing my best to do my best, but sometimes, well, and then later you reflect and you're like, oh, wow. Yes. Excuse me. Oh. Yeah. So I don't know if that is just kind of like my process. I don't know how everyone else does it, but I am definitely not, I guess I'm not always anything. I'm not always unclear in the moment. Sometimes I'm crystal clear, but I feel like other people just catch every little detail and notice all kinds of stuff that I don't. But then I notice all kinds of stuff that other people don't. And it's like an in the moment but not in the moment thing. I have an example. Like, I live in Washington State, and I was driving to California. And when you get to Central California, there's farming, and there's there's onion fields. So probably about, I don't know, 5 minutes, maybe more, before we got to the first sign saying they were coming, I was saying that I could smell onions. And the person I was with was like, it must be on your hands. And I'm like, when did I cut some onions? We got up this morning and started driving from the hotel and cut any onions. Or, you know, like, I just, wherever it was, I know it wasn't from the first day because we took 2 days to do it. We stopped and overnighted. The person I was with was older. So, I was like, how, where, how? Like, cause you got onions? I don't have onions. And she's like, ah. So, then the sign came up a few minutes later and she's like, oh, I guess you were right. And so I don't know how long after the onion fields actually came, but not long after, because, you know, we were on the freeway. So we passed the sign after she's like, oh, I guess you were right, there are onion fields. And then a few minutes later, she's like, oh, now I can smell it. So I don't know, maybe that's my superpower. I have a sense of smell that's hyper. Wow, that was just a long monologue that probably you did not need to know about. Sorry, got it now. Joy. Find it in the silliest moments. It's like I was just saying, although you're probably not watching these continuously, but in the last one I was saying, joy, you just find it. It's even in misery, joy can be found, believe it or not. You have to be able to laugh at your problems. You have to be able to laugh at yourself, but it's like gallows humor. It's a way of coping with something shocking. Movement. I am going to take that as physical movement, because physical movement is good to work out your stuff when you're feeling like this. If you want to not take drugs or drink, and you just gotta like get it out of your system and blow off some steam, movement is a good way to do it. Our bodies thrive actually on movement. It makes us healthier. And I guess I gotta talk about the movement that a lot of people get behind. There's a big one right now. They call themselves a movement. I guess it is one. I tend to, well, never mind. I'm not gonna go into it, but it's not the only one out there, which is good. Diversity in all areas is good, no matter how much people don't want it. And so, but I don't think people should be made to not exist. Reconciliations are on the table. And, you know, that also suggests that, you know, not just the family tree is going to survive in the metaphor, but just us. We're going to find ways to tolerate each other, or even love each other, or, you know, like each other. Well, you know, so there's stages, baby steps. We'll get there. That's part of the plan. So trust the plan. Self-realization. I think that's a thing we go through in stages too. I mean, we call entertainers chameleons, but we also do that thing, you know, just like when you're a kid and they start measuring your height on the wall, you never stop changing and growing, you know. It may be hard to notice ourselves doing it if we're like obsessed or focused on someone else that we admire or who's successful, that we aspire to their level of whatever it is that you're admiring about them. And I guess I'm giving you sort of a self-realization from some of mine, but it is that there's alchemical gold inside of all of our own selves, and a great self-realization that just, I think, makes you a better human being is to discover what you're good at, what you love doing. Like, both of those things should play into it, but I know that we have a very sort of acquisitional society, and to capitalize on a talent is desirable. If it works, it can be admirable. So it is like something that we're encouraged to do. It doesn't have to be that, though. You might also be a person that appreciates achievements for the fact that you accomplished it, you know, and success means something different to everybody. Life is subjective for so many of us about so many things, but it's always a step up when you do some self-realization. And you know, it's different when it's like egoic and when it's not, because then you stop. When it's egoic, it matters what other people think a lot. And then when it's not egoic, I mean, when you offload like all of that heavy self stuff, the world just looks different. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So taking action. Well, what do you do when, you know, you have all of these things like as part of your kit? what do you do with it? Well, I guess that has to do with your selection. What you do, having realized it, like realized what your marketable talent is, or self-gratifying talent, or gratifying talent, because for it to be gratifying, it need not be relegated to making you happy or making your life better. It could be something that does the same for other people. You may or may not make a profit from it. You may or may not care about that. I don't know that it actually matters. Like, once you have the sort of change of mind where your perspective of yourself and your life, when your perspective of yourself changes, especially in a positive way, the world around you changes with you. It accommodates you. So whatever you do, it will be a form of you taking action that will have a, like I said, like, it could be the smallest thing, but it could have a butterfly effect and just like enlarge and amplify the further it gets away from you. Like, the further and wider the telephone game, the bigger the expansion. Unconditional love. Well, that's I was gonna say that's a hard one, and I guess sometimes for some of us it is. It's a lot. But you don't have to do it all the time. You can do it in moderation, as much as you can. Like anything else, starting from nothing, you take a few times, a few do-overs until you get it wired, until you get it wired. So, but the thing about unconditional love that I keep learning over and over is that at our cores, that is who and what each of us are. I know that sounds crazy and hard to believe when you look at the world in need of so many reconciliations. But apparently that's part of the fun of the games, like this cosmic game of Risk or something, and it's like, we're just at that stage of the game. So here's what the text says on the 111 card. Time to implement long-cherished ideas. For a long time I've said I wish that I could just do what I love and have it be marketable. And that used to be watching television. I no longer have the capacity to watch television on my beautiful 50-inch screen. I probably can, now that I have like this little internet sentinel in the other room. I just haven't explored how to do it, because it's been so long I don't care anymore. Now I have to find something else to implement. But I have done, so that's cool. Moving on, you're on the right track toward making your dreams and visions a reality. Oh, cool. I was just saying, I need that. The right people, circumstances, and resources are being sent your way. I actually have an inkling of that. Happiness and new opportunities are at hand. Trust in the process. Trust the plan. Well, I mean, I could obviously apply a lot of that to my own self. Why am I showing you this? You want to see? You can read it. See there? You can pause and read for yourself without the glare. Anyway, that's what that one says. So the second one was the 1144 card, and it says, High Vibes. Subtitle. Divine Intervention. We may need it. But the thing is that's one of those divine timing things. If we're going to stay with the prophecy stuff, some of us that know things are happening need to like prepare the way, like get, you know, get that right mindset out there, and what is the word? I don't know, just, I don't know how to even try. Okay. I don't know. All I can say is I'm preparing myself for like whatever's coming. If it's going to be biblical prophecy, I'm getting ready for that. And it's weird because if I think about, I'm not doing it like according to what a Bible says, but I'm just like staying out of trouble, you know, like you staying inside the law, you know, just doing all of the good citizen stuff, pretty much, you know, because that's pretty much all I can affect. You know, I'm not like in charge of anything but my own stuff, so that seems like enough work. So, okay, but I mean, I feel like that's coming because the other prophecies in the Bible that talked about like get your stuff together, I'm gonna fledge you out of the way and start all over. That was a divine intervention. But this card says high vibe, so I don't think we're looking at that. I think maybe I'm not the only one. And can I just say that years before I started thinking about anything like what I'm saying, like this preparation business, I was already doing it. And I'm not talking about religion, I'm just talking, I don't even know what I'm talking, but maybe it's like old information that's like rising to the surface from, you know, the 5 years of Catholic indoctrination, and then like, you know, triggered by the stuff that I'm currently seeing. I don't know, but maybe that was a divine intervention, like just starting to do this stuff and eventually like coming to the knowledge that, oh, I'm doing that. I wonder if I'm the only one. I don't know. Maybe people are deliberately doing it. Anyway, moving on to the next one. Prosperity. Well, I was just talking about that. What does that look like to you? You could be achieving with your high vibes. There he is. Mr. High Vibes, my little kitty. Well, if it looks like financial prosperity to you, I have to make some attitude changes about like having what I feel like is a right mind and having money. Like, you don't want to have like a bunch of money and take the Diddy route. That's what I'm saying. And so I'm encouraged by the fact that I saw this ad, and it was definitely like a religious ad, and it was talking about all these like people that you would refer to as light workers, or maybe it was light workers and I'm just putting a religious spin on it, but it said that there were people righteous earning money, like large amounts of it, to do righteous things with, like to help people. And I think that's a great thing to do with your prosperity. But, you know, sort of being good citizens with each other doesn't require a ton of money. I mean, it could just be an interaction. Butterfly effect again. You never know what little thing you do is going to have a big impact on someone else's life. Oh, ow. Oh, my shoulder. Oh. So, pardon me. Big ventures. I think I just talked about that. Fated events. prophecies. I'm cutting it short because I feel like I'm going long. Oh my goodness. Yes, I am. Faith. There it is again. So, okay. The channels that I saw this morning that were talking about change, one of them was sort of in the vein of that thing with the biblical stuff, and I guess I never got to the part where, like, I'm just having like a bit of dissonance dealing with some of the Bible stuff. Like, I don't know what am I supposed to do with it in this day and age, I guess. But, you know, this Crying channel, he's talking about that, like how it is, like, can God change, or can, like, the Akash change? And Crying was saying, yes, it is changing. It is changing because we are changing it. We are the drivers of the change. So maybe that's the dissonance that I've been feeling, like, in relation to, like, the Bible and that religious stuff. So that made me feel a lot better. And then the next channel that I saw was from the Andromedan Council of Light, and they were talking about the new world that we are currently creating. Like, we're making over the world, and as Crying also said, like, the old programming that we had, the old ways that we always did things, those are finally, you know, getting out of the way. Like, we're finally ready to be done with that. Also encouraging, because that is all of the stuff that makes us want to have wars and traffic each other and basically preying on each other, and it's terrible. So it's like nothing, of course, is going to be instantaneous, but everything I'm feeling and seeing and hearing is making me encouraged that, like, reconciliations will be on the way. Purpose. To learn how to tolerate and deal with each other when we are working at cross purposes, and maybe we're kind of feral and animalistic and don't know how to act and treat each other right anymore because we're selfish and self-serving, and we've forgotten what our purpose is. But if our purpose is to be here and be a pain and be hard to deal with and aggressive and violent, then that is something that we have to process, that they have to process, and we can't get away from it, so I guess we're doing it together. And that is our purpose. Like, we're here to do this stuff. Higher calling. Why are we doing it? It is our higher calling. We are literally here to experience stuff so God can experience itself experiencing stuff. Amen. Okay, so the text. Love and other happiness lurks just around the corner. It'll be something better than in your wildest dreams. A rare opportunity and an exciting encounter with like-minded people will exceed your expectations. Well, I can't wait. I can't. That sounds amazing. For me and for you. Then they play a lot of commercials on the tube. Final card. Oh my God, I'm over an hour here. So the final card is a fire card indicated by the icon there at the top. And it is the elephant card. And the elephant is holding a flame. And it always, once again, draws my mind to the Robert Plant song, Carry Fire. Because for me, and I'm sure, well, I'm sure, like I never heard the lyrics before. Anyway, it is a song about, like, you know, the like fiery emotions of like a love affair. Not like a love affair like people cheating on each other, but like an encounter or a relationship. But to me, it's not just about only two people. It's about that and like your family and your friends and all of the people that you would endure like serious injury for because you love them and that type of thing. Or an idea that is, you know, you got to carry it around and nurture it to keep it alive. Like the first people that had fire, it was always some guy's job to carry the ember around and keep it lit, so when they got to the next place, they could for sure start a fire. And I feel like that's like emotion. That's unconditional love. And it's perfect that the elephant is what I pulled, because, and with that in mind, their families are, I mean, they are as protective of their families as we are of ours, and they are another animal that is, we don't just consider it intelligent, they are intelligent. And I'm laughing because there's a video of them in, I don't know where it is, I'm not going to try and guess, but it's somewhere where there's a truckload of sugar cane, and a bunch of them go out and block traffic, and then other ones come out of the foliage on the side of the road that this is happening on, and then snag a bunch of sugar cane, and then the other ones get out of the way so the trucks could go. So they knew exactly what they were doing. They had a plan of attack, and they went in and executed it perfectly. And you see there's a broken tusk on that elephant, so they will like do anything for their families. And I would hope that humans can relate to that. Humans that shoot their pets because they can't get them to act the way they want them to, instead of like giving them to a shelter or a rescue. Oh my God, or your animal jumping down out of the sky giving you a heart attack. I just wanted to say a couple more words about that whole P. Diddy and homosexual thing. Even if it had been as bad as what this is sounding like it is with this P. Diddy stuff, and like I said, other places that carry on these type of activities, Jesus, I mean, he hung out with the worst of us. He hung out with criminals. We know that, right? I mean, it's in the book. I know it's in there. I've even heard Christians talking about it. And since I don't go to church, you know, I saw it on some screen somewhere. I'm just saying, and I don't want to sound like, oh, they all think bad stuff. That's not true. The church is a big conversation, which I'm not going to have right now. I'm just saying, I mean, that's tolerance. That is, that's one of those Christian things, one of those Christ things. And we just throw that out the window. So many people are like, I hate him, I want to get rid of him. Get them off the face of the earth. They're creating all the problems. They're dumb. They get advantages. I don't think that was one of the things that he was like, yeah, do that. All right. That's it. Thank you and good night.